Okay, there we go. Okay, so the neutral zone is also known as the in-between, and I started coming here to help us manage the in-between. And so we're at a point now where perhaps we're ready to move out of the neutral zone, out of the in-between, into something greater. So this workshop is about that. The promotion says we dutifully make a to-do list with whatever changes loom before us, either in our personal lives or in the life of the community. So when something changes, one of the first things that we do is to make a to-do list. Anybody do that? Because you want to control, right? You want to control the change that you're going through. That checklist can overlook the deeper spiritual, psychological insights that more naturally want to emerge in the next phase. So there's something else going on in this neutral zone than we give credence to, because we're not trained to pay attention to anything else, right? We're trained to, this is uncomfortable, I want to hurry up and get out of the discomfort and to move into the next phase. So that's what we're going to explore, is the differences between making things happen as opposed to letting them unfold according to the implicate divine order. We talked about that today. I talked about that today in my talk. So that's where we're starting. And let's see. There it is. So change is something that happens to everyone, even if you don't agree with it. Right? So anybody experienced that before? Change happening, right? You're downsized or whatever it is, or your car breaks down, you need a new car. So even if you don't agree with it, it happens. And change is about a situation, okay? Transition is internal. What's happening in you when the car breaks down and you realize you need a new car? Well, for me, it's my left-hand column starts listing the to-do list, all the things that I have to do, but I don't necessarily pay attention to what I'm feeling about it. And that's something that we can really mine and take a deeper look at in terms of what is really happening here, and is it something that I should be paying attention to? Transition is internal, and maybe it's eternal too. It's what happens in your mind as you go through change. Transition is psychological, spiritual. So the question then becomes, well, change happens very quickly while transition takes more time. And it's important to take the time, because otherwise we often find ourselves in a repeating pattern. Has anyone ever experienced that, where here we go again on something that we've gone through before, whether it's I have another jerk boss, right? There's something about that, you know, wherever I go, there I am. That's the only thing in common with the change from job to job. Do we pay attention to that, right? So that's an important aspect to look at. The neutral zone is the bridge between the old story and the new story. People often are confused, uncertain, and impatient when you're in this neutral zone, right? We don't give attention to it because we're confused, we're impatient, we want it to end, we want to get to the next thing, thinking that it's going to be better and going to fix everything. And if you've been through this cycle before, you can ask yourself, you know, why this again? And so it can increase that confusion and that uncertainty. So we're going to do an exercise right off the bat. And I'd like you to choose something in terms of health, wealth, love, or success. Health, something about your body. wealth, finances. Love is relationships. Success is your personal self-expression, whether it's a job, excuse me, or something else. So I'd like you to take some time and to think about what story do you have around any of those topics in terms of health. Right now, what's going on in your life in one of those areas? And what is the story that you're telling yourself about that? And I don't want you to judge it. Just take a few minutes to write down, and you can do that with a couple of them if you want. But we'll just take some time to think about, what old story am I telling myself about what's going on in my life? Anyone have any questions? Oh, something to write with. Anyone have an extra pen, pencil? I think I have.
I got it, John, for Dan, I guess.
Okay. Everyone have something to write with? And for those of you that are watching on virtual, John is providing a link that has the information, the handout, so you can download that and participate if you'd like. So any questions on this? It's okay. Take your time. We've got an hour. No, it's tails. Take another minute. You can always take this home and work on those other areas. All right, if you could find a place to stop. Now I'm going to ask if anyone would like to share. Just remember that this is being recorded. and this is, very personal, so you don't have to share. But if you do have something that you think somebody else would benefit by hearing your story, just raise your hand and we'll capture that. And if not, that's okay. Marjorie.
Okay, so am I on?
No,
Hello, 2, 3, 4, 5,
not yet.
6, 7. I'm on now? It's got a red light at the bottom. That's small. Okay. 1, 2. Ooh,
There you go.
I am. Oh my goodness. Okay, I took health, and my old story is I am in excellent health. I can do it all, and I'm always upbeat. And my new story is.
Well, we're not on news story yet.
All right.
So how do you feel about that? Do you claim it? Is it comfortable?
It's comfortable until I find myself tired and not upbeat. And then I start blaming myself and saying, that's wrong. And why is that wrong? Well,
Good.
because I did too much.
So there's a certain imprisonment, a cage, like we
Yes.
talked about in
Yes.
our talk, a cage that you've created that's perhaps says, I've got to do everything
Right.
and get it done.
Yep.
Good. That's a great old story. Anyone share that kind of thing? I've got to make, if it's to be, it's up to me. Right? That's what we say so proudly in this teaching.
Yep.
If it's to be, it's up to me. Anyone else?
Do you want my new story?
Not yet. Because we don't want to come from thinking about it. We're going to do a little something else. Any other sharers? All right, but everyone has an old story, right? Raise your hand. Everyone has an old story. All right. So I'm going to invite you to relax in your seat. And take a big deep breath. And if you feel comfortable, close your eyes. This is a safe place. And we've talked about the chrysalis, how the caterpillar forms a chrysalis and it liquefies. And the imaginal cells migrate to the place that they become the head and the wings and the body. And so I invite you to take another big deep breath. And just relax. And imagine there's something inside of you that wants to create a new story. Not out of your past experience, but something new. Something that Spirit wants to express as you in this area of your life. So take another big deep breath and relax. And we want to let this stillness speak. We want to let this imagination write for you a new story. Letting go, breaking of any of those mind-forged manacles, any of the constraints, any of the limited beliefs that we might have held in the past. And allow something new to emerge. Something like the butterfly that can take flight, that is beautiful, that is unique to you. So take another big deep breath. And when you're ready, you can start writing that new story. Take another minute. All right, if you could find a place to stop. What we're looking at is moving from managing this process to transforming from the old story. From doing to being. What do you want to experience in this new story? What does that feel like? What does that look like? So does anyone want to share their new story? You don't have to tell the old story, but...
Well, I have to admit, I have two new stories. And I like my second one better. The first one...
Let me ask you, so the first one was, you just went on from the...
Yeah, I just went on, and it was primarily from in my head, I think.
You hear that? This is what we tend to do, is we just move from... You know, the old story, okay, I've got to manage this and write down something different.
Right.
So go ahead, Mark.
And so the first old story I made was, I choose to take time during the day to rest. If I overextend myself, it is not wrong, but an invitation to rest. And I'm still in excellent health and all that good stuff. So the second one is, I will listen to my body. Different feeling. And I will be aware when I'm taking on more than what I can do comfortably. My intention is to say, let me think about that before making a commitment, and being okay with saying no. When I'm tired, lie down, take a nap, or read a book.
Great. Thank you. Can you see how that's qualitatively different than the first? Is I'm going to do things within my comfort zone. So I've got to recognize what that is, right? So thank you for sharing that. Anyone else want to share a news story? Yes.
Okay, hi, I'm Donna. My old story was I have to wait, and it could be in any part of my life where I would say I have to wait or think or process, whatever. My new story is I can move forward, and it could be in anything. Like with health, I started walking 20 to 30 miles a week, and if I got sick, then I skipped that week, and then the following week I would just keep going, telling myself it's okay, I had to stop. With wealth, it was like I will achieve more because I know we were all in a pause with work or making money for whatever reason. Love, I just put I have it. And my new story is also try it, do it, just depending on like success or whatever else I want to achieve in my life.
Great, thank you. And that feels better. You see, this is a simple process. It's not necessarily easy. And the major thing is we have to remember to do it. To really take our time making that change rather than figuring out what it is, letting it come out of us. Really very different. Anyone else have anything they'd like to share?
This is a very old story, and I've been working with the story for quite a while. And it started, and I didn't even know it was my story, which was really interesting. And I think I had a feeling that love was limited and there wasn't enough. And maybe I wasn't getting enough. And then I realized maybe I wasn't giving enough. And then I had a dog. And boy, could this dog love. And I was watching him, and there was an unlimited supply of love in this dog for every single person. And it didn't seem like the dog ever ran out of love. And it didn't seem like the people ran out of love for the dog. So I was watching this process very carefully, and I learned from my dog. And I know that sounds really ridiculous, right?
No, it doesn't. Not at all.
Okay. So I learned this. So then I started seeing how I was holding back my love. And with children, which got really complicated based on their behavior. And so then I started watching how the dog was with everybody, and I thought, well, my new story could be like being more open, being more loving, realizing it was unlimited, that I didn't have to be envious, that there was enough love for me. They didn't all just love him, you know? So that new story started unfolding, and I've been working with this for a while now. And I've noticed that in flooding my children with this love and this attention, because it was an attention thing too, making them more important, that I was receiving this incredible love from my family, my husband. The dog passed away, but he really did teach me a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's like, it's like in process, this story. And it's a very deep story that I didn't even know was happening to me.
Wonderful. Thank you. There's so much in what you just said. And, you know, we if we're open to it, I think our pets can teach us so much. This is really about the somatic connection that we make with our pets, that for some reason, they just keep loving us no matter what is going on, no matter what kind of mood we're in. And we can start paying attention to that. And that's what my talk in part was about today, is can we have that same connection with each other? Or are we triggered by their behavior or the things that they say and let that make that pull us away from them? So again, it's looking at this transition. Where are we in the middle of transition? Are we open and receptive, or do we think it's got to unfold a certain way? And what happens when we do that? You know, conventional wisdom tells us to do that. And it'll result in something that is predictable, and it may be okay. But if we are in this place of the in-between, in the neutral zone, and can make that transformation to let me see what wants to unfold, the results can be innovative, more creative, more imaginative, and possibly more than you ever expected. So that's a spiritual practice of making ourselves open and receptive to the dog's love and seeing how it expands from that point. Anyone else have anything to share on this? Yes.
Well, I've found that as I age, I'm getting less mobile, and so I've got a new patio and garden, and I've been sitting out, and I gain joy from watching a lizard do push-ups, and by watching the squirrels run around the trees and chasing each other, and birds flying and butterflies going by. And so I'm experiencing it too, you know. And I am working at moving faster And yeah, but I don't physically have to do the things to have joy from them.
Great, thank you. And I know it's something you've been working on for a while to get that patio in place. It was part of a desire, right, for this greater experience, this greater mobility of life. So congratulations, that's huge.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It wasn't until I came out and said it here that I'd given up on that patio and garden that all of a sudden I was able to do it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. All right, so we're going to kick it into another gear. And this one it's a community exercise. And we want to look at what old stories do you have about this community? Now, if you're new to this community, what is your experience with spiritual community previously? But I'd really like to get this exercise, if you can, to focus on this community. And there can be a lot of pieces here. It can be the old story about the leadership, about the board, about practitioners, youth. Can be about ministers that have come and gone. It can be about what happens on Sunday or your experience within the community. It can be whether you felt excluded from things or included from things, or you just love the connection here. What is the old story that you're living in right now, or that what is your experience of community, spiritual community? Any questions on that? We'll take another minute or so. All right, if we come back together, there's a lot here, isn't there? And I think it's a great opportunity to voice your experience about this to other community members. And so I encourage you to step into that place with a little courage and tell your story, your old story about your experience in spiritual community. We have any volunteers to start?
Here, you. I've already.
Well, my name is Dan, and the first thing I wrote down was my MO for. We're not hearing you. Is it muted? Do I need to press something? I wouldn't know. Hello, can you hear me? No. Hello, is that a battery? No. Margie, would you like? Oh, Josh, would you like? It might be. Okay. So my name is Dan. Whoa. And
Test.
what I noticed was you know, for years, probably every time I've ever gone to church, going all the way back to being a kid, is I would just show up, listen, and leave. I might talk to someone about what happened that touched me, but that was pretty rare. And then I noticed, you know, that's pretty much how I go through life. If I don't really, if it's not people that I'm close with, I just kind of show up, I'm there, and then I leave. So that did not exactly feel comfortable writing that down and making that awareness. But then, you know, so the next part is I noticed that when Zoom occurred, I really liked church during Zoom. I liked the fact that I could be in my pajamas in my easy chair with my cup of coffee. It was great. But then it was just a few months ago, my wife was eager to get back to church. I said, "Oh yeah, go ahead. You know, I'm fine here at the house." And then finally, she encouraged me to come, and strongly. So I said, "All right." And then I found this growing desire to want to build a community for myself with all of you. And I was surprised just how strong of a desire that's become for me. So I've made a point to join a couple of book clubs, and I've really have found that's a nice way to get close to a few people, like Rachel and a few others. And I'm kind of feeling like I'm ready for a new and bigger step forward with the church, and I'm excited about that.
Thank Thank you, Dan.
This is working now, I think. Hello?
Okay, I've only been here 4.5 years, and 2 of them were COVID. So a lot of ways I felt disconnected from the community. I like the people I met in leadership, practitioners, youth. I loved the big youth group. That was so lovely because I'm basically a teacher. But I didn't have as many classes, so, we didn't have classes. And so I crave close connections. And, spiritual living feels like home to me. I even wrote a poem about that. It's joyful, life-confirming messages, and I find a lot to learn here, transitional or not. I love it here.
Thank you, Sue. Anyone else?
The old story for me, the minister did it all. All I had to do was show up, maybe volunteer for a committee, and didn't have to worry about doing too much. And yes, taking on as much as I've done has been a lot, but I look around the room and I know you all. And that wasn't the case before. There's a different energy now of wanting to get to know the people, whether they're new or whether they're old, that this is my community. I think there's more of an ownership. That these are my people. Don't you mess with my people. And I realized when we candidated the last time, when I listened to those people, I wanted to make sure that minister was going to take care of pastoral care, because that's a lot. And now I look and I see our practitioners are taking care of that beautifully. And what I'm realizing going forward, I'm thinking, John has kind of put out this shared leadership versus minister-centric. And the shared leadership, in my opinion, is so much stronger because I make the connections that bring a sense of belonging, bring a sense of love, and I just love what we're doing now. And moving forward, I want that to continue, even when we get a minister. This is really, I think, what makes, for me, to make it a more meaningful experience and something
Great.
I absolutely look forward to.
Can't wait to hear the news story.
Well, that was the news story.
Well, we're not there yet, so you're going to have something else. Rachel here.
Oh, sorry, my dear. Gotta look everywhere.
Old story.
It just occurred to me, I want to back up what Marjorie's been saying, but it occurred to me that this is like baking a pie. And you could have the one lead chef, and then the rest of us are the ingredients, but it's so much tastier when each one of us brings ourselves into it. And so, each one is an ingredient, and everyone is essential in what makes up the wholeness of that pie. And the key words for me are, what she was saying was moving from that leader-centered place to something that's shared. And it's stronger when it's shared, and it's more vivid and vital when it's shared. And like Marjorie, as a practitioner, I only saw myself as an adjunct, but really, each one of us, not just me or any other practitioner, each one of us has some gem to impart to the whole. And it's so good to know that each one of us is a part of the whole, and therefore we are the whole. with what we have to bring to it. And it becomes richer, deeper, more vibrant, more powerful when each of us is contributing in that way. So moving that center of power from, one leader to all of us, it's an empowering thing. And I think we all benefit from that. And I know that I am. So thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Can't wait to hear the news story. Anyone else?
Yay!
It's going to take me more to unpack this, but it's very interesting. Okay, in terms to leadership, the board. Actually, I only had good things to say about this place in regards to other places. I think I've been here 4 years. I had the ability to watch online, which was really great, a great way to connect. My old story into, I would guess, religion and just community and everything like that, it would be something like, sometimes it would be, it's not safe, I'll be judged. The new story is, it's okay to participate. It's who you are. I have to move forward. It's okay if they don't understand what I get. It's something I have to experience to move forward, and I trust God and the universe and my guides.
Thank you. That's good. All right. Now, I know a lot of you have written the news story, but we're going to take it to a different level. So, let's see what comes up here. So the idea is, what is possible, even given how good you feel right now? What is possible? Again, we want to get out of our heads and into our hearts about what that transformation might really be. All right? So what do you want to experience in your new story? So again, we're going to, you're not writing yet, we're going to do a little meditation here. So again, take a big deep breath and relax. If you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes. And again, just open and receptive to this implicate order that knows exactly what wants to express in, as, and through you. These imaginal cells migrating through your body, bringing a deeper awareness of what is possible in this community. Simply sitting in this place in peace, in quiet, in a safe place where you can let your imagination just take over. What would you like to experience? What is your new story? And if you're ready, you can go ahead and start writing that down. So take another minute. All right, if you could find a place to stop. I know that's not much time. And I'd like to say the people that are in our virtual community, if you'd like to share any of your insights, your new story, old story, either personally or in the life of the community, you can email me or one of the board members or practitioners, and they'll make sure that we hear what you have to offer. So I just want to put that out there. So would anyone like to share the new story about spiritual community?
Oh, shoot, yeah. Okay, yeah, it changes. It's just amazing. Because what now, the community, everyone is open and willing to be known and embraced where they are. No judging or telling them what they should or shouldn't do. We care about each other and support each other. And a world that works for everyone.
Thank you, Marjorie. Gina, up here.
I just want to say that I agree with the assessment that Rachel brought forth too, is that in, you know, the musical chairs game of ministers that happens here, I thought I would be less involved, but now I'm more involved than I have been. And I was just talking to Lorraine about this after the service, like, it doesn't feel like, oh, we're missing a minister right now. It does not feel that way at all to me. It actually feels more welcoming somehow, or I'm not really sure how to describe it, but it's not to our detriment that we don't have the same person week after week, or it feels shared. It just feels like more of a community now than I thought, and I hope you know, I hope other people feel as welcome as I do, because I know sometimes there's cliques that could develop, or, well, it feels good to certain people or whatever. I'm hoping it's not just me experiencing that, and I hope more people will share what they're feeling and experiencing. But I think we're just holding some sort of really good space here right now, and I feel proud of that, really.
Thank you. Feels more better, right?
It feels more better.
You have Janice back there too.
I just wanted to add to that I got this image of a tent, and that each one of us is a peg that holds it down, that grounds it, but we're also those rods that keep it focused upward. And each one of us has that part to play, and without any one of us, it's not quite as complete, and it doesn't achieve what it can achieve. And some words that came to me were just this sense of vibrancy. And I think that's all I want to say about that.
Thank you, Rachel. We got a tent. Praise God. Let's hear it.
The only other thought I had was change is good. Yeah, I know some people are like uncomfortable with change, but I've learned to get used to it. I used to like move every year, and then I got tired of moving. But now I'm like, it's okay. Everything is okay. Even if it doesn't work out like you thought, it's still okay. I notice in my reflection of life, things still end up okay. Why did I worry so much?
Thank you.
In the old story, starting just a real quick, I remember feeling vulnerable, like what's going to happen to us if Reverend Peggy leaves, and then, you know, where will we be if Reverend Josh leaves, and what are we going to do if Reverend Michael or Reverend Nicole leaves? And there was this feeling of vulnerability, that everything hinged on that particular model. And during this period of in between, there's been a newness about it and a freshness about it, and it's been very. And in my new story, as you know, what we're reflecting on today, it just is exciting. It's exhilarating that new members are coming, and existing members are contributing in a new way. We're getting to know people in a deeper, more meaningful way, even though we've sat next to them probably for 5, 10 years or whatever. But there's a freshness to it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Janice.
Sorry.
Okay, hi. So I started with CSL it's been about 12 years now, and this is my third center, having left other centers because ministers left. So having a minister leave is not a bad old story for me, because I've been through it, and it never stopped me from participating or doing what I wanted to do. The old story for me is COVID. That's really, and I'm not even over it yet, because I have people at home that I take care of, and if I get sick, there's nobody to take care of us. And so I'm still there. I think everything's fine here, and I know it's going to go on, and it's growing. I have no problems. It's just COVID. I just can't seem to get past it.
Well, thank you, and it has impacted us all. That's my red sticker, the third week of having had it. And it really, I thought I was fine with it, but then it just shifts things. So it's important to pay attention to those things.
Somebody had their hand up.
Hi, Hugs. I agree with Gina, and actually everything that's been said. And I, too, was vulnerable, and I was worried. Reverend Josh left, and he was the only minister we knew here. When we started, he was here, and he's one of the reasons, and the people, mostly the people, especially now, we stayed and became members, and we had not been part of a spiritual community like this. But thanks to our leadership and Janice and Pam and Marjorie and the practitioners, I realized at one point I am too enjoying the different viewpoints, the different ministers, and you coming in our workshops, and it's giving me a different perspective, and I'm learning a lot. And I thought about it, and I thought, well, I was so worried, and actually because of them, I feel it's been a seamless transition into this period, even during the pandemic, because they're the ones who made sure that we had access. They started Soul Sisters, and we still had our book club, and still had the connections. And I do know it's because of our core group.
So apparently we're building community. It's really exciting.
One of the things that, okay, what is possible? Does it depend on money? I don't know the answer to that, and I would like the congregation to be in on that discussion. If we need to have fundraisers or something, it shouldn't be all practitioners. It should be us, because we're all willing. I think I'm speaking for everybody. We're all willing to be important. And what do we still have to do? And again, it's us. It's us. Okay.
Thank you. And when we think about the money issue, it's like your investments grow when you add more to them. And so whatever happens with whatever the next step is, continuing the investment, increasing the investment is only going to add to the health and vitality if we're focused on building community. And that's the mandate, I think, that is before us, is, yeah, we can always use more resources. That's not going to change building community, because you've all seen and heard the power of what's being created here. And it is very different than just having a progression of ministers come through. So we're past our time. Do we have one more time for one more?
So I have a little summary, I think. I teach all my music students, whether it's piano, flute, ukulele. He's got the whole world in his hands. However, it has changed during the pandemic to become, we've got the whole world in our hands. And that's what's happening here in the collaborative sharing, and people saying, oh, I could bring this, oh, I could do this, oh, I could do this. And it's very collaborative, and we're getting to know one another in the leadership. And then we also have people like you that give us a grounding and kind of keep us in the guardrails of learning and growing with each other.
Great summary. Thank you, Cheryl. All right. Well, thank you all for coming today. Onward and upward. Enjoy your afternoon, and I'll see you next month.